Hi and welcome to a special bonus episode of Khandaan Podcast. We are talking about Black Warrant. The new. This is based on a book, right?
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken.
Black Warrant is a non-fiction book written by some Sunetra Chaudhary and Sunil Gupta, who is in the series as well. It's the protagonist in a way of the story, which is played by Zahaan Kapoor in the series. The book is called Black Warrant: Confessions of a Tihar Jailer, and it's set in Tihar jail.
I mean, I think the two reasons why this kind of got hype is A, because this is Vikramaditya Motwane's new show.
Mm-hmm.
And he is. I think he's a very fascinating filmmaker because clearly he has ambitions
Yeah.
and he has stories to tell, but he's also very smart in keeping it within the confines of the streaming era,
Hmm.
and being telling a story but not really ever ruffling any feathers, like
Well,
whereas his mentor Anurag Kashyap, he fails, is
yeah.
not able to balance that line as well.
But also, like, in the same breath, I don't think he's watering down or diluting anything. There are things that he's saying quite boldly in this series. I think he does it justice by, shining a mirror on the society of how India was and India is. It's quite dysfunctional. All that parallels of the ecosystem that exists within the jail and outside India are both quite boldly represented in this through all the characters and the sub characters in this.
I mean, comparing Anurag to
Mm.
Vikramaditya, right? Like, if I'm looking at it, I just feel uh, Anurag has much more of a pessimistic and nihilistic view about things.
And he's
Whereas,
a lot more angry, I think.
yes,
A lot more angry in his storytelling that these are all the wrongs.
yeah. But the second interesting thing is also about that this is Zahaan Kapoor's debut, we can say, right? I don't think he's done
I think
anything
he's
as.
done a Hansel Mehta show before.
All right.
If I'm correct, he's done something called Faraz, which I have not seen. What did you think about Zahan Kapoor?
Um, I liked him. I
Mm-hmm.
liked him. But I mean, I think there's I think Amrita was also saying that there is a similarity with Shashi Kapoor, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
his grandfather. But I also think that 80% of that similarity is that they're both short kings, basically. Like.
I think it's quite more obvious that he's a short king than when we see. Obviously, Shashi Kapoor quite famously was paired against Amitabh Bachchan, so
Yeah.
that was that is where we call him short king, I guess. But if you see him romancing heroines, it wasn't necessarily like he was being a short king in that scenario. But Zahan Kapoor has a much smaller frame and obviously here he has droopy shoulders. He's pretty much portrayed as the underdog by a mile.
Yeah.
Like,
And also, he's also surrounded with much more physically imposing
mhm,
people, right? Like
yeah.
everybody, and they play with that physicality really
Mhm.
well. That everybody's taller, everybody's stronger, and they mention it quite a few times that you need to be kind of an alpha to be
Yeah.
doing this kind of job, and he's not. He's not that person, right? And even
Yeah.
when he tries, it comes over very false in a way, right? And
Yeah, and
it's
he
something
pays
that
the
he struggles with.
yeah, he pays the consequences of his own actions multiple number of times, and his morals get so many more times compromised. He's like struggling between all these. He's trying to balance his own sort of belief system and how the world around him is operating, and I think he did a great job. Like, he's clearly a Bombay boy, right? He grew up in in that circle, and to see him play this, I for even for 1 second, I could not like. It didn't feel artificial. Like it really felt like he had done his research into the character and how this person is. He belonged to that era. He didn't feel like, as you said, like he's seen a mobile phone.
I
Do you
think
know what I mean?
the other character I also want to point out is Rahul Bhatt in this.
Oh my god.
because we saw him in Kennedy, right? And I thought that
I
was.
haven't seen Kennedy.
Oh, you skipped Kennedy, dude! Oh my God, yes, I ended up
Yeah,
going with Yamini, right? Right. Dude, he was so powerful in Kennedy.
yeah.
In Kennedy, it was such a not only like as it's a very Anurag kind of
Hmm.
character, like what we were mentioning, what Anurag would do,
Yeah.
Anurag Kashyap. That's the kind of character Rahul Bhatt is playing in that. But he also transformed physically, like he became like a
Mm.
bull, and that
Yeah.
was really really cool. And I was kind of bringing that idea of him when I was watching Black Warrant, because I'd literally not seen a lot of Rahul Bhatt's work, and then I'm seeing
Hmm.
Kennedy, and then I'm seeing this. So I brought that, and he also is bringing that kind of slimy
Mm.
um, thing to this. But what I also just found fascinating is that this show doesn't really have any villains, right? Like everybody has everybody has gray shades and black
Yeah.
and white shades in it, but nobody you can say is an out and out villain. Not even Rahul Bhatt's character, I feel.
Yeah.
Like all of them are working within a very flawed and broken system,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of picking up the shards where they can.
Yeah, it's all a function of a broken system. Like these people are as big victims of it as perpetrators in a way,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, everybody is doing a fabulous job at portraying that. The writing by Satyanshu Singh is fabulous in this. Um, I guess for people who are going into this expecting a fictional retelling of actual events, they might find it sort of like a headless chicken, because there is no single focus of where the plot is supposed to go and leave you with a moral of the story or whatever, because it's like a retelling of chaos that happened in the 80s and 90s, because this is a lawless place where people had free reign. There were gangs operating, there was drugs, and trade happening. There's gang wars happening inside the prison, and Charles Sobraj is involved. There's the Rangabilla hanging case as well. So yeah, it was the wild, wild West Delhi, and
So I had some
obviously,
issues there where I was like, what's even going on? Like, what happened with the girlfriend? Like all of that
yeah.
subplot was happening and it just ended. I was like, wait, are we gonna get to the end of that in season 2, or are we done with that? Like, so I had some questions about that part. Um,
Oh yeah, like he was speaking with that woman who was trying to help him, right?
Yeah, and he was setting up this fund with lawyers, and
Mm-hmm.
they started. But what is that a thing? How many people have they gotten free? Has it become the innocent project? Like like I had questions. Like I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't understand if it's going to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
answered, or am I
yeah,
supposed to just take satisfaction with this is the story of it?
yeah.
But
And
again, with those Rangabilla guys, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to take away. Is it about the injustice of innocent people, like with the doctor thing that was happening, right?
mm-hmm.
The doctor that had his wife killed
Yeah,
by these guys, and there you could almost feel like, oh, there's this injustice where the innocents are getting capital punishment, but the ones that are orchestrating it are
getting
not
away.
getting away with it, right?
Yeah.
But again, even with Rangabilla, I wasn't 100% sure where the show was kind of taking me, especially at the
So I think
end
with
message. It
Billa,
feel
what did you get as the end message?
no, the end message is then that yeah, these guys died and it was justice was served. It felt like, but was it like? And
No, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no. I think the message was that both of them were trying to appeal, and only one of them appealed because the other had no money,
yeah,
and both of them were caught killing the woman, but they only took that job for like 500 rupees or something,
yeah,
and that's how cheap life is in
yeah,
India, in a way. So it's sort of telling all those um, sort of how what India was back in the day.
yeah,
And
yeah,
has it changed since? Big question mark. Like, I mean, one of the moments in this, there is a big trigger warning here, because one of the characters in this series commits suicide, and that is juxtaposed with one of the prisoners getting hanged as well. And I did not expect that character to be shown after like committing suicide. There is a freeze frame on his face with the tongue sticking out, and yeah, Yeah,
And I
that
think
got
it also just it was one of the really good characters, right? Like one of those
Mm,
people that you were like, and you knew, what is this, Sani Saab, right?
yeah.
He's saying you knew nothing good would happen to this person,
Yeah,
right?
and like the way it leads to that, because he's sort of teaming up with Sunil Gupta in this corruption scam. They are trying to understand why the prisoners are not getting their kumbals, and there
Yeah,
is a riot going because of that. And he's trying his best, but also he's like, he's also retiring within a couple of days or months,
yeah,
and then he gets thrown into the system by his he goes to complain. The seniors then double down on him, and he's like cornered. And the humiliation of this man, the humiliation that he faces at this, like from an age perspective, he's older than all the three officials, and he's
yeah.
given his life to this prison, and he's trying to do good by the prisoners and to do good by himself, like, in a way. And then the how the system just crumbles him, just it's and that actor, what's his name, Saini Saab, Rajendra Gupta, who's like one of my favorite actors from my childhood. He plays Mukhia in Lagan, and he also plays Pandit Jagannath in Chandrakanta. So to see him after such a long time, right? And to see him in this character was, yeah, and to see the end of this character, oh my god, it broke me.
Both.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of hype is being created about Dahiya's character.
Hmm.
He's kind of Haryanvi, right?
Yeah.
Haryanvi. He's sleeping with the.
Tota Roy Chaudhary's wife.
Is Totaro just going to be constantly emasculated in Hindi content? Like, is that what's going to be happening all the time? Poor
uh,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah, he
I don't
couldn't
know
even
if
die.
it's emasculating of Tota or just Bengalis.
Yeah, no, I feel there's like an underlying theme of,
Yeah.
communality, like Haryanvi male and beta kind of Bengalis in there. I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, again, they're not explicit in it, but the masculinity of Dahiya is definitely something that they kind of, talk about
Mhm.
quite a bit. But yeah, it was kind of it was really well done. Like, I think everybody plays really well, but I think
Yeah.
that whole through line of him, having this relationship with an older woman, and then how that he kind of gets married, and then he
Yeah,
wants
and
to
the
kind of
shadi,
bring.
the drama that happens where Sunil has to negotiate, like, and
Yeah,
then Tota Roy Chaudhary is suspecting Sunil is the one who's having the affair, and then at the same time when then he realizes, because he got the jhumka, right, and
yeah.
then when when he chooses to get transferred, when he's about to leave, and the wife hugs the Iya, and then Tomar comes in and looks at the Iya, and like
Yeah.
that was such a funny scene.
That was really funny. Like,
Yeah,
after all of the sadness and misery, that was quite funny actually.
yeah.
But yeah, it's I worry for Siddhant Gupta.
Mm.
I think he was amazing in Jubilee, and
Yeah,
I think it might have gone to his head. And I think he's making some really weird career choices, which I don't understand that he's doing. Overall, I did like it. I think Zahaan Kapoor is great.
yeah,
I am curious to see what he would do next. Like, is he
yeah.
going to get stuck in a streaming kind of space? Is he in this Anurag Kashyap at Motwani kind of world? Or is he going to be able to do, like, I don't know,
La Vyapa.
La Vyapa, who knows? Deva Part 2, Kabir Singh, I don't know. But I think that's a question for pretty much every new actor and every new
Yeah.
talent out there. Like, what's supposed to happen?
And if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the edited version. For the full version, you can watch this on Patreon, on patreon.com/Khandaan Podcast.
Yes. And yeah, Patreon is the way to find us. Patreon is the way to support us. And I think, yeah, join us from $1. The link is in the show notes. And for everybody that has joined on Patreon, thank you for supporting our work. I guess that's it. Sujoy, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok at 93K. And you can follow Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast.
I'm at the same places as Sujoy. Usually talking to Sujoy on those same places. Come and follow us. And thanks for listening.